Hello, everyone who's tuning into today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I am broadcasting to you, streaming to you live from Canada, British Columbia, beautiful west coast of Vancouver Island. We are starting today's IELTS lesson. Today's IELTS lesson is coming from aehelp.com. That's where the materials are coming from. You can see that up here in the corner, aehelp.com, also again here. So welcome everybody. Hi Meet Patel, hi Pablo, hi Ankit, hi Julia, Mohit. Good to see you all in class. Before I get into the lesson, just want to make sure that you can see the board okay and that you can hear me okay. So as I mentioned in the last few classes, I'm healing with a broken leg, so I'm not moving around too much in front of the board, but thanks to technology, that's okay. We will have a great lesson. Can everybody hear me okay? Both are okay? Thanks, Pablo, for letting me know that the mic and the video are good. Awesome. The stream health looks great, so we'll get right into it. Today's class is IELTS speaking. I'm going to explain some important skills for the speaking section of the IELTS exam, and we'll go through an example, again, that's taken from our website at aehelp.com. If you join the website today, you can use our coupon code LIVE20, L-I-V-E 20, for a 20% discount. Also, please use Super Chat. Super Chat is the little $sign that's beside the emoji in your chat. So if you have a really important question or you want me to pay attention to a comment, then use Super Chat. It will make your question and your comment much stronger so I can see it more clearly in the chat session there. So make sure you use that. All right, I will give you a lot of chances for questions. You can ask me questions. I can see what you're writing. And I will do my best to answer all of your questions about the IELTS speaking section. Okay, again, the material is coming from our website. Here's a look at the website when you're actually logged in. This is a full subscriber. You can use this website on your phone or your tablet. You can contact us. You have a full course here. The full course includes a speaking section. As you can see there, also we have 6 full practice exams, and we will be using one of these practice exams today. All right. So the questions for the speaking are going to be in the stream description. So look at the stream description for the speaking questions today. Okay, so look at that for the questions that we're going to be looking at today. Okay, and our website has a lot of audio. We will be using that today as well. So here we have our audio CDs. And the audio CDs include all of the listening audio. We have audio for reading, and we also have audio for examples for the speaking section. So we will use that today. Okay. You should learn about 3 to 5 new words each day preparing for the IELTS. To be able to get a 6.5 or higher on the speaking section, how many words should you know? What is your vocabulary base to get 6.5 or over? How many words do you think you should know to get more than 6.5 in IELTS speaking? So how many words do you think are needed to get over 6.5 in speaking? Not 9, not 8, not 5, but 6.5. Give me a number, guys. Okay, Ildar, you have the right idea. It's roughly 1,500 to 2,000, okay? How many words does an English speaker use in everyday life? How many words do you think a native English speaker uses in everyday life? I will talk about the cue card today, Manpreet, and I will show you. About 500. Okay, so native speakers use about 500 words each day. So you basically reach conversational English when you have about 1,500 words that you can draw from, and you use roughly 500 per day. Okay, so let's look at speaking now in a little bit more detail. To get 6.5 or higher in the speaking section, there are a couple important points. So you must do two things for sure in the speaking. One is always answer the why question. Okay? So in part 1, part 2, and part 3, it's really important that you focus on answering the why question. So why you have an opinion, why you do a certain activity, why you hold a certain belief. It's really important for you to give a clear explanation for your opinions, okay? So always answer the why question in the speaking. Oftentimes when students don't practice, they're not familiar with the speaking section, they will miss the why question. Even if the why question is obvious, even if it's clear, even if it seems like, well, the listener should know the reason, still say the reason. You have to say the reason, okay? If I am explaining my answer, so if I give an answer and then I'm explaining it and it's still difficult to understand, so even if I give an explanation and answer the why question and it's difficult to understand, what can I do? What should I do? What is the second important step that I can do to make sure my listener understands me clearly? What can I do, guys, to make sure that the listener understands me clearly if my explanation is confusing? Yeah, I want to speak clearly. I want to keep it simple. You're right, Era 130. But I want to give, that's right, Yassine. Yassine's got the right idea. So give examples. Especially if you feel that your answer and explanation are complex and or confusing. Okay, now this is especially true in part 3. So part 3 questions are more detailed questions, and the answers, even if you're having this conversation in your own language, can be a little bit confusing or tricky. So it's really, really, really important that you give a good example, a good visible, measurable, quantifiable example for your explanation. Okay, so these should be visible and quantitative examples. That's really important because that will help the idea become more clear. So these are the 2 points that we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on answering the why questions and giving examples just to make sure that they're clear, okay? You're asking me about accents. I know a lot of students are worried about accents, so I see your question there, Manpreet. And I saw a couple earlier ones too about accents. Pronunciation and accent doesn't matter. It only matters to the point of being understood. So pronunciation and accent does not count for much. They do score you on it, so they do score your pronunciation and your accent, but you can easily get a high score with a heavy accent as long as the examiner can understand you. So pronunciation and accent does not count for much as long as the examiner understands what you are saying. Okay? Remember that there are many dialects and accents of English. So whether you're speaking American accent, British accent, or you have an Indian accent or a German accent to your English, it doesn't matter. If I can understand the words that you're saying to me, you will still get an excellent mark, okay? Desi, you're asking me about grammar. Grammar is very important, okay? So grammar is very important. There's one important point with grammar that you need to know, which is reflecting the grammar of the question. So always reflect the grammar of the question. If the question is in present perfect, your answer should be in present perfect. So always reflect the grammar of the question. If the question is present perfect, your answer should be present perfect also. And again, this is something you need to practice at home. So practice catching the grammar form of the question and then reflect that grammar in your answer. Okay, let's look at the speaking questions for today, and let's apply some of these skills. So here is the question sheet that the examiner has. And always part one in speaking is going to be some sort of question set that's kind of general or everyday conversation. Now, of course, in real life, we don't sit down and have question sheets in front of us. So this is not perfectly the same as real life. It's close, but it's not perfectly the same. So you really do need to practice this at home. All right, so let's look at this. You will have sample audio and conversation for this. But before we get there, I want to go through this with you step by step and apply some of these points that I've discussed just now. So first here, let's talk about sports. Always be interested in the topic of speaking questions, even if it's not your cup of tea, if it's not your favorite topic, still pretend that it is. Your goal here is to get a good score. So here for everyone, you should think about this as you love sports. Sports are your hobby. This is what you like to do, even if it's not true in real life. Yassine, you can use simple vocabulary in answers. You can still get a very good score if you have good answers, okay? A lot of people think that you need some really complicated vocabulary for getting a score of 6.5 or higher. That's not true, okay? They do mark your lexical resource, your vocabulary base, but even simple vocabulary used well can get a score of 6.5. All right, let's target these questions. So what kind of sports do you enjoy playing? Can somebody give me an answer for this? So I see some of you answering. A red one says, I love cricket very much, and every Friday I play cricket. Eldar says, I like to play swim. You can't play swimming. You just simply do swimming. So you're simply, I like swimming. All right, Yasmeed, it's off topic. It's asking for you. So sports which require sport are beneficial. It's not asking what's beneficial. It's asking about what sports do you enjoy playing. So Supriya says, I love to play basketball. Harveer says, I like to play badminton. These are some okay answers. There is a missing piece of information in all of them except Fatime. Looks like she got it. I'm into swimming because there is no special rules to obey. Thank you. Fatime gave a very nice answer there. So let's use that one. So Fatime says, it's already gone, but I kind of remember what it was. I like to go swimming 3 times a day, and I enjoy it very much because there are no special rules to follow. Okay, so Fatime gave us a similar answer to this, and she did a really good job because she gave the answer to the why question. So here, because there are no special rules to follow, it's an answer for the why question. That's a good answer. That's what gets you a high score. So think about that because reason. Marat says, I'm swimming every day to enhance my health. That's also a good answer. It also includes the reason of why you like doing it. Just make sure you say that you like doing it. I like swimming every day to enhance my health. So reflect the question. Okay, let's look at the next one. So next question here. What are some sports you have never played? And notice here the examiner has the question why on the paper. They might not ask you that question. They will only ask that from you if you don't give the answer. So let's see some good answers for this one. What are some sports you have never played and why? Abhishek has a very good question. He says, do we have to answer the why question even if we're not asked? Yes. I strongly recommend that you always answer the why question as much as possible. It's the most intuitive follow-up question, so it's good to answer that. Okay. So what are some sports you have never played? First question here, guys. What's the grammar form? Okay, Pavan says, I have never played kabaddi because I do not have a lot of players in and out. I'm not sure what kabaddi is, but it sounds like a good answer. So many answers coming up here. Again, guys, if you want me to see your answer, use Super Chat. Your answers are coming so fast I have trouble reading some of them. Hadil, you're right. This is present perfect. So the answer has to be present perfect. Yep. Jamshid says, I have never experienced ice hockey because there are no special facilities in my city. Very good. What is the special facility for playing ice hockey? So I have never played ice hockey. By the way, for those of you who are curious about how I broke my leg, I broke it playing hockey, not ice hockey, but floor hockey. Collision with another player. So I have never played ice hockey because there are no. Anybody know where people play ice hockey? There are no ice. Let's see if somebody gets it. Yeah, rink. It's an ice rink. It's a special word here. So there are no ice rinks in my city. Yeah, that's a great answer. So I have never played ice hockey because there are no ice rinks in my city. Very good. Excellent. All right. Then let's look at the next question. So again, remember, the question's present perfect. The answer here has to be present perfect as well, okay? This lesson is going to be available about an hour after we're finished. Somebody was just asking if I can see this later on. Okay, I'll look at some of your answers before we go on. I've never played tennis because our city sports ground doesn't have proper facilities for it. That's a good answer as well. Fatima, I have never played football because I think it's ridiculous. Oops, sorry, football fans. Yeah, you probably don't want to say oops, sorry, football fans, because there's nobody else listening during the actual speaking exam. But you could say something like, No offense to football fans. So if you said, I have never played football because I think it's ridiculous, no offense to football fans, you could say something like that. Jerome says, I have never played basketball even though it is considered one of the popular sports, plural, because it's one of many, because I am not a tall person and the sport requires endurance and strength. That doesn't make sense because endurance and strength have nothing to do with being tall. So it would be more clear if you said, because I'm not a tall person, and for basketball, that's a big advantage. All right, guys, that's some good answers. Again, use Super Chat, okay? So if you want me to see your responses and respond, use Super Chat. Donate $1 or $2. It goes to a good cause. It pays for food, home, shelter, and equipment to keep these lessons going. So use Super Chat if you really want me to pay attention to what you write. If you want me to respond for sure. Okay. All right. So let's keep going here. Let's have a look at the next question. So the next question is, do you prefer team sports or individual sports? Why? Okay. So do you prefer team sports or individual sports? Why? Now, this question is not something that you come across every single day. It might be tricky to answer quickly for this type of question, so you can buy time, okay? And there are different ways to buy time. One is by asking for it. So you can simply say something like, that's an interesting question. Please give me a moment to think. Okay, so you can buy time with this type of lead-in expression. Okay. And we'll get to more of those when we get to part 3. But you can say something like, that's an interesting question. Please give me some time to think about it. Okay, and then you can take a few seconds to think about the answer. Can somebody give me some good answers here? So what do you prefer, team sport or individual sport? All right, let me see if I can pick some out here. Again, guys, Super Chat will hold your answer for longer on the screen. So I prefer, Rajib says, I prefer to play an individual sport like chess where I believe my winning chances are more as it depends on my own skills. Okay, that's a good answer, Rajib. Chess is, I'm not sure if chess qualifies as a sport. You have to be careful. It's not too clear that chess would be a game or a sport. Sport is usually physical activity. Chess is more of just a game as opposed to a sport. Otherwise, your answer would be good. Arab 130 says, I would prefer team sports over individual sports because it teaches me important skills such as teamwork and coordination. Not coordination, but cooperation. Arab 1 would be a better word, cooperation. Okay. Yeah, and that's a good answer. So I suppose I prefer to play team sports rather than solo, since playing on a team helps me learn cooperation and empathy, just to give you a little bit of variance. Okay, so your answer could be, that's an interesting question. Please give me a moment to think. I suppose I prefer to play team sports rather than solo, since playing on a team helps me learn cooperation and empathy. Okay, so that could be an answer for that one. The answers I'm putting up here for you are level 8, 9 answers. So if you're not at this level, that's okay. Something similar will work. A little bit more simple, it's okay. Fatime says, what is a synonym for because? A very good question, because you will be using that word often. Synonyms include since, as a result, and every other type of subordinating conjunction, or many other subordinating conjunctions of cause and effect. Okay, so look at causal subordinating conjunctions. Let's look at the next question. Why do you think people play sports? So next question is, why do you think people play sports? Okay, again, reflect the grammar and the vocabulary of the question, try to paraphrase it, and give me an answer. So why do you think people play sports? What is the reason for people playing sports? And give me a full sentence answer. For staying healthy. Healthy is definitely a big part of it, so staying healthy. People, okay, so Tanu says because sports makes people stay healthy and physically fit. Healthy and physically fit are the same, so you only want one of those. What is... I think people play sports for staying healthy and for enjoyment. Good, Julia. Yeah, there are definitely more than just more reasons than just healthy. We are doing part 2 and part 3 today, Marat. So we'll get there after we finish this section here. So I believe that individuals play sports to stay physically fit and for enjoyment. For example, I love to run each morning because I feel both mentally and physically better for it. Okay, so again, you can give an example. Remember those examples. We haven't done a lot of that, but you definitely want to include at least a couple of examples in your answers. So I believe that individuals play sports to stay physically fit and for enjoyment. For example, I love to run each morning because I feel both mentally and physically better for it. All right, let's see what your answers are. So Naya Patel says, I think, no comma, I think sports are good physical exercise and it can help people burn their excess calories in an hour. Sure, that's great. Rohit says, don't forget the full answer. I believe, in my opinion, because it's asking what do you think, so you have to say that. In my opinion, people play sports to keep energetic and to keep close to family and friends. You will have to explain that. You will have to say something like, for example, every Friday, my family and friends get together for a friendly game of football. So you have to give an answer for that, Rohit. You have to give an an example for that family and friends comment because it has to be more clear. All right. No writing today, Khalid. We'll be doing writing not tomorrow, but the day after. We're doing reading tomorrow. Okay, let's go to the last one here. The last question is, what is the most popular sport in your country? Why do people like this sport? So this one here, it's a two-part question. What is the most popular sport in your country? Why do people like this sport? Again, reflect the grammar of the question and answer clearly and paraphrase. So, let's have some answers. This should be different for different people because you're coming from different countries. So, I do see a lot of your comments. Sandy is asking me, am I a ghost? No, you're not a ghost, Sandy. I do see you, but there's so many people commenting that I can't catch all the comments as they're moving. So again, if somebody wants their comment to be very clear for me, please use Super Chat. It's the little money sign. You have to pay for it. It's the little money sign beside the emoji. But when you click on that, even if you pay $1, your comment will become green and big, and it will stay in the comment thread so I can see it more clearly, okay? All right, guys, and I'm doing my best to answer as many of your questions as I can within the reason of the lesson, of course. Okay, guys, so this question, what is the most popular sport in your country? Why do people like it? So football, Lubna, good, but we don't know what your country is, so please tell us your country and why people like it. In India, the most popular sport is playing with karma. That's an interesting response, Ildar. You'd have to explain that one for me. I thought it was cricket. Okay, in India, people love to play and watch cricket as it is considered to be our second religion, and all cricket players are followed as role models as the sport is too exciting. Very nice answer, Rajib. Why do people love playing it so much? So you might want to explain that. So Tanu says, cricket is the most popular sport in my country, India. People like this because cricket is very famous and it's played since our freedom. Okay, there's a good reason for why it's popular. It's a symbol of freedom in India. So the most well-liked sport in India is cricket. It is considered as a second religion to many. I think people like it because it is an exciting sport to play and watch. As well, it is a symbol of freedom for people. Okay. The most well-liked sport in India is cricket. It is considered as a second religion to many. I think people like it because it is an exciting sport to play and watch. As well, it is a symbol of freedom for people. Sure, that works great if you are answering this question and you're from India. Hadil says, football is not only the most famous sport in my country of Palestine, but also around the world because it is energetic and fun and only requires a ball and a few players to enjoy. All right, let's see. Anything else? Lytton says, many people in my country love sports very much, especially cricket. It is the most played game and it is enjoyed during a lot of festivities in my country. The second part of the question here was, why do so many people like the sport? All right, so this is part one. They will ask you a few more questions in the beginning when you walk into your IELTS exam, like what's your name, where are you from, and so on. But those you should be very familiar with anyway. Okay, guys, so here we go. Listen to an example speaking interview here between myself as the interviewer and a candidate. Answer these questions, okay? So listen to how a European speaker answers these questions. Hello there, have a seat.
Thank you.
What is your name?
My name is Natasha Kozlova.
Okay, Natasha, we're going to start the IELTS speaking section. I will record this speaking part of the test for marking purposes. To begin, I'm going to ask you a few questions on a general topic. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's talk about sports. What kind of sports do you enjoy playing?
Well, a sport I absolutely love to play is ice hockey. It's fairly competitive and it keeps me active and healthy. I also enjoy playing football when the weather is warmer.
What are some sports you have never played and why?
One sport I've never played is handball. Some of my friends love it. They play it in a league and watch it on television, but I find it very dull and boring. I prefer faster sports like ice hockey.
Do you prefer team sports or individual sports and why?
I prefer team sports because I enjoy the social part of it. Team sports also help to learn teamwork, which is a really important skill in life.
Why do you think people play sports?
To be sure, you are asking me the reasons for playing sports?
Yes, that's right.
I believe people play sports for two main reasons. First, and most important, I think, sports are lots of fun. Second, many sports are great exercise. Staying in shape by playing sports is much more enjoyable than going to the gym, for example.
What is the most popular sport in your country? Why do people like this sport?
In Russia, I think football is the most popular, although ice hockey is very popular as well. Both sports are very fast moving with lots of excitement, which makes them appealing to many Russians.
That is the end of part one.
Okay, so that's an example of a student who obviously has an accent, and the accent is totally okay, even though it's a bit of a thick accent. All of her words are clear enough that they can be easily understood. These answers are, yes, DJ Sasa, close to perfect. These would definitely get a very, very high band score. So, other than the accent, they're basically perfect answers. So, this candidate would be getting an 8 or an 8.5 for this answer set so far. Does anybody have any questions about the answers that this student gave? So again, this student's grade would be um, at least an 8, probably an 8.5. They're very clear, well-rounded answers. Notice how she is giving excellent explanations for her opinions. So she goes into clear detail for her answers, very good explanations for her answers. All right, so any questions about her answers or what she gave as answers? Yes, Sudhakar, this video will be up on our channel and you can watch it free of cost in about an hour after we're done. The pacing for her answers are good, absolutely, Jamshid. So this is a good pacing of answers. It's quite fast. If you can't answer this quickly, that's okay. You can still get a 6.5, 7.5, no problem, okay? She's actually answering very quickly. She does speak a fair bit, Fatime. What's really important is that she stays on topic. So even though she gives nice long answers for each of these questions, she does not go off topic. That's very important. If you're going off topic, you have to stop yourself. Because if you go off topic and you're saying information that's not connected to the question, you will start losing marks for coherence. That's one of the big dangers. So if you're not sure, it's better to keep it short. Okay? We are training to speak like her right now, Eldar. Okay, so let's look at part two. Part two here, you get a cue card. You have 1 minute to prepare your answers. So you will receive a card from your examiner. They have a few different cards to choose from. And then you have 1 minute to look at the questions and then give a response. In that 1 minute preparation time, you should write down some simple notes that you can reference in your 2 minutes of speaking time to give good structure and information to what you have to say. Okay? So here, let's look at the question. It says, describe a role model you have had in your life. You should say who the person is, his or her relation to you, what impact this person has had on your life, and what makes this person a role model. You will have 1 to 2 minutes to talk on this topic and 1 minute to prepare what you're going to say. Now, before we get deeply into the response for this Part 2 cue card, there are a couple of really necessary pieces of information that you should know for Part 2. So Part 2 cue card, there are basically a few different categories that you can be asked about. Okay, so for Part 2 cue card, this one is asking you about people. Okay, so one is people. The cue card could also be about a object, or what else? So your Part 2 of the speaking, the cue card, it could be people, it could be an object. What else could it be? Object, it could be a place or an event. That's right, Hadil. Pretty much every kind of information. Sometimes there's an idea as well. Okay, idea and event are somewhat similar. And pretty much every topic that we talk about fits into one of these main categories. So here we're talking about people, and each one of these 5 has some basic criteria for describing. Okay, a meal would be an object. Temulilto, the mulililotio. I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyway, meal would be an object. Okay, so journey would be a type of event, Prabesh. Basically, every topic that we can talk about fits into one of these 5 categories. And each one has a certain set of criteria to talk about it well. When we're talking about people, what can we do? So what can we do when we talk about people? What are important elements to include when we talk about people? Yes, you definitely can tell stories about past, present, and future, DJ Sasa. Absolutely, as long as they're on the topic. Okay, so Jamshid says appearance. Yep. Yeah, it's good to talk about what a person looks like so we can actually create a mental picture, a mental map. Zainab, yep, absolutely. The character or personality. It's the same, it's just synonyms. So appearance, character, personality, and what else? So this is just generally speaking. Asanali Kakenov, very good. Describing habits or behaviors. Okay, so actions. And actions are habits and behaviors. So the IELTS is not going to ask you this clearly about a person, but this is basically what you need to do, is you need to describe the person's appearance, personality, and behaviors. Now, importantly, when you describe personality, you need to back it up with actions. So when you describe personality, make sure to back it up with actions. Okay, so if I say that I really admire my friend John, he is a very kind person, I need to back it up with actions. He is a very kind person. Every Saturday he donates 2 hours of his time at a local soup kitchen where he helps out feeding the less fortunate in society. So again, make sure that personality is always backed up with action, and it's good to start with appearance so we have a visual picture of the person. All right, let's see what we can come up with for answers with this question here. You should say who the person is, his or her relation to you. So first you have to pick a person. Can anybody give an example for a person that they admire as a role model? Okay, so Jamshid says, my father is my role model. Okay, Said says, my mother is my role model. And absolutely, a parent is a good choice to be a role model. So let's go with that one. So here we go with lining up the answer for this cue card. Okay. So my role model is my father, and we should give his name. So always give the name of who your role model is. So if it's Vladimir Putin, then give Vladimir Putin. Okay, so my role model is my father. Let's just give him a name. Stephen. Okay, so my role model is my father, Stephen. What's a good piece of information to give after this? Okay, Ildar says, I admire my boss. He is fat, big, tall, and so rich. Or also rich. Yeah, that's a good start. Okay, so my role model is my father, Stephen. Let's give a little bit of information about Stephen. Okay? And those are some good ideas. So Harvreet, the famous cricket player, Sachin Tendulkar, yep, he's a great role model. Before we start talking about my father's personality and his actions, maybe we can describe what he looks like a little bit, okay? So, he is of average height, dark hair, and fit. He is very active and plays sports regularly. So he is healthy. Okay. So we give a little bit about what he looks like. We can back it up with a little bit of action. And somebody said he is a doctor. My father is a very hard working man, and he helps people feel better every day. This is because he works as a physician. Okay, so a physician or a doctor. So my role model is my father, Stephen. He is of average height, dark hair, and fit. He is very active and plays sports regularly, so he is healthy. My father is a hardworking man, and he helps people feel better every day. This is because he works as a physician. Anna, you could use Jesus as your role model, and you can use famous people, guys, like Trump or Vladimir Putin or something like that. But just be really careful with who you choose, because it could become very difficult to talk about a person if it's the wrong choice. So your choice is very, very, very important. Asanali, yeah, a little bit about the appearance is important. You don't have to say much about the appearance, but just a little bit about the appearance is important because it creates a visual picture for the listener, and that makes it so much more powerful. DJ Sasa, I'm just saying Trump, somebody else said it. He's not necessarily my role model, but like I say, it doesn't matter who you choose, but it's important that you choose a person who's easy to talk about. Okay? All right, so let's go back to the question. Don't forget the original question. So, who is this person? His or her relation to you. So, we might want to talk a little bit more about that. So you might want to say something like, as I mentioned, Stephen is my father, and he has been a very active part of my life since my birth. I know that some parents have difficulty spending much time with their children, but this is not the case in my situation. My dad always makes sure to take time off from work and spend it with his family. We go on vacations at least twice a year, and each weekend my dad helps me with my homework. Okay, so again, we're going into some deeper explanation of my relationship to my role model. And yes, we said that Stephen is my father in the beginning, which explains the relationship in a very quick and simple way, but that's not enough. So when you have a question on the cue card that asks for what is your relationship to this role model, you have to be able to say at least a few different sentences about that relationship, even if it's clear, even if it's something like my father or my mother. You need to go into detail about your relationship with your father, with your mother, okay? So DJ Sasa, yeah, this is it, right? If you're talking about a celebrity and your relationship to them, it could be a little bit trickier. It's not impossible, but it's more tricky. So there you might say something like, I became familiar with this celebrity about 5 years ago when I watched their first football game. Since then, I have seen this person. Let's say that the celebrity is Messi. So I have seen Messi in a lot of televised games, also in interviews, which has allowed me to get a deeper understanding of who he is. So you have to explain how you know the celebrity, where you see them, how often you see them, etc. Okay. Tanu, if your father is no more, yes, you can use his name. You should always try to use the exact noun, so mention the name of who you're talking about. It makes it much more clear, okay? So we've answered that question clearly. What impact has this person had on your life is the next question that we're looking to answer. So let's do that. Of course, with our father, they have a lot of impact. What's another way to say impact? So you should be paraphrasing the vocabulary as much as possible from the cue card. The question is, what impact has this person had on your life? What's another way to say impact? So how else can we say impact? Influence, yeah, effect, absolutely. So those are the words that you want to combine into your response. So here we might say something like, my father has influenced many facets of my life. He has not only helped to shape my character, but also demonstrated the ethical and moral guidelines which I live by. Okay? So my father has influenced many facets of my life. He has not only helped to shape my character, but also demonstrated the ethical and moral guidelines which I live by. Okay, so quick question here, side note. What grammar am I using in this sentence? What type of conjunction? Just some quick grammar here. So what grammar am I using here that helps me to increase my IELTS band score? Facets means aspects in this case, Raya, yeah. I'm using present perfect, that's right, Lubna, which is great. And I'm also using not only but also, Jamshid, right. And not only but also is what type of conjunction? Correlative, that's right, Hadil. Good for you. You're remembering those lessons. And I hope you're practicing as well. Use correlative conjunctions to increase your scores. Okay? So make sure you use these correlative conjunctions to help increase your scores. So Asanali gives us an example. He is the one who taught me to walk, eat, and do other simple activities when I was a baby. And now he still influences my life and helps me to make my way through challenging situations at the age of 16. Yeah, you need a little bit more clarity at the end there, Asanali, but otherwise it's a good answer. All right, so my father has influenced many facets of my life. He has not only helped to shape my character, but also demonstrated the ethical and moral guidelines which I live by. What is a good piece of information to give after this comment? So for my speaking part 2 here, when I say this kind of information, what should I do? What should I do here? That's right, Raya. Very good. Yes, nice, quick, good thinking. Example. Yeah, when I say something like this, I should definitely be giving an example to this opinion. Can somebody give me a good example for this explanation? Thank you, Assam. I appreciate your positive feedback. So can someone give me an example for this explanation? Okay, so Jamshid says he taught me to never give up. Give me a visible, measurable example of never giving up. So somebody give me an example for never giving up. You got to give visible, measurable examples for what you're saying. You can also say he taught me to respect others. He taught me to be brave. These are all great points, but they still need more visible, physical, measurable examples from your own life. So he taught me never to give up. Give me an example of that. Give me an example of not giving up. You guys are still being too general. You need to be more specific. Make it up. I don't care if you're imagining it. Give me a specific example of never giving up. Facets means aspects. Like becoming a doctor, sure. For example, he taught me never to give up. When I failed my medical entrance exams last year and I wanted to quit, my father took me on a vacation and explained to me why I should keep going and what I can do to pass the exam the next time I try. Okay, so good. Specific examples. So when I failed my medical entrance exam last year, I wanted to quit. My father took me on a vacation and explained to me why I should keep going and what I can do to pass the exam next time I try. So this is the kind of example you want to include. Uru John says, as I failed to achieve my required bands in my IELTS exam, my father encouraged me to try again. He showed me a great website where I can study for IELTS. It's aehelp.com to pass. I'm just kidding, guys, but yes, that's a great example, okay? And yes, aehelp.com is a good website for you to go and practice IELTS and learn the right strategies to get a good score. Shreyas says, he always supported me in my bad times and always gave me a push to have a good life ahead. That's great, but again, guys, you need to be specific. So you need to say something like the IELTS exam or a medical exam or not making the soccer team or not making the volleyball team or failing a test in school or something like that, okay? I'm always plugging, Sasa. I'm plugging because I want to make money, and I'm plugging because I want to make sure you guys pass the exam. So, absolutely. Okay, when I was in grade 8, I failed my exam, but my father didn't scold me. Instead, he encouraged me to study hard and gave me some examples. That's a great example, Prabesh. Good job. All right, great. So good, we covered that question. Let's see, make sure that we answer all the questions. It's very important that you answer all the questions on the cue card to get a high score. If you miss a question on the cue card, your score will go down, okay? So you need to make sure that you answer every single question on that cue card for your score to go up. A common mistake that I see with students is that they do miss one or two questions. It's especially bad to miss the last question. So do not miss the last question. So the last question here is, what makes them a role model? What makes them a role model? Keep it simple. What makes your dad a role model? So let's get into that. And again, keep it simple. What makes a person a role model? What is maybe the most important criteria for a person to be a role model? Saran Raj, I am from Canada, British Columbia. So my dad is a role model because he's a super dad. That's circular reasoning. Okay, guys, careful with that kind of circular reasoning. My dad makes a great role model because he's a super dad. He's a super dad because he's a great role model. That's circular reasoning. Circular reasoning is very dangerous in conversation. It's confusing. It's unclear. So really avoid circular reasoning, okay? Okay, that's a danger. I've seen students do that before. Really, really be careful with circular reasoning. So what makes a person a role model? Prabesh says love. Maybe. Very abstract though. Careful, it's very difficult to explain. Most role models have something in common. Honesty is kind of okay, but there's one that you're missing still. I'm still looking for it. What is something that most role models will have in common? Still missing it, guys. Think about it this way. If I ask a million people, or if I ask 1,000 people, what makes a role model? Then what does that mean? Circular reasoning, guys, again, you're asking me, circular reasoning means that we keep going in circles with our answer and our explanation. Like somebody wrote, my dad is a great role model because he is a super dad. He is a super dad because he is a great role model. So that's circular reasoning, okay, where the explanation and the example just keep going around and around. Shahriar Sami has the right answer. A successful person. My dad is a wonderful role model because he is a successful person, both in his career and his and family life. So my dad is a wonderful role model because he is a successful person both in his career and family life. So success is the right answer for being a role model in most situations. People look up to successful individuals. So therefore, I look up to my father very much. In fact, I am following in his footsteps. That is why I am on a path to gain entrance into medical school. Okay? So, let's see what some of you said. My dad is a great role model because he always helps other people no matter what their problems are. Great, that's good. You can go into more details there, imaginary ghost. But you want to do that before this question. Okay? So why is he a role model? Because he's successful, guys, is the easiest answer. Yes, you will be able to see this episode afterwards. It's not going to be deleted. All right. I'm using another correlative conjunction in this one. What correlative conjunction am I using, guys? Erkan, yes, definitely give examples. So giving an example is great. So you could say, my dad is a wonderful role model because he is a successful person both in his career and his family life. As I mentioned, he works as a doctor helping patients at Victoria General Hospital. As well, he is married for 23 years and a father of 3 children. Yeah, so you can definitely give some more detail and example there. The correlative conjunction that I used here, guys, I want to keep reminding you of how important that is both and. So my dad is a wonderful role model because he is a successful person both in his career and family life. So both and is another correlative conjunction. Okay, that's the correlative conjunction. It's the both and. All right, so here we have our part 2 response. One of you said that you think it's long enough. Actually, this is not long enough. It should be a little bit probably longer, but it covers all the main points for the purpose of the lesson without making you overly bored. So we'll stop here for the part 2 answer. You should have a clear idea now. So let's review it. My role model is my father, Stephen. He is of average height, dark hair, and fit. He is very active and plays sports regularly, so he is healthy. My father is a very hardworking man, and he helps people feel better every day. This is because he works as a physician. As I mentioned, Stephen is my father, and he has been a very active part of my life since my birth. I know that some parents have difficulty spending much time with their children, but this is not the case in my situation. My dad always makes sure to take time off from work and spend it with his family. We go on vacations at least twice a year, and each weekend my dad helps me with my homework. My father has influenced many facets of my life. He not only helped to shape my character, but also demonstrated the ethical and moral guidelines which I live by. For example, he taught me to never give up. When I failed my medical entrance exams last year and I wanted to quit, my father took me on vacation and explained to me why I should keep going and what I can do to pass the exam the next time I try. My father is a wonderful role model because he is a successful person both in his career and family life. As I mentioned, he works as a doctor, helping patients at Victoria General Hospital. As well, he is married for 23 years and a father of 3 children. Therefore, I look up to my father very much. In fact, I'm following in his footsteps. That is why I'm on a path to gain entrance into medical school. So this is, again, a level 9 response. This is what you need to do if you want to get a good score. You have to practice this at home, okay? You need to practice this at home. Asanali, you will be able to see this video on this YouTube channel. So if you subscribe to this YouTube channel, you will see that it's uploaded about 1 hour after we're done. Yes, we're going into part 3, guys, so stay tuned. We will go into part 3 right now. Any questions about part 2 before we go on to part 3? So any questions about part 2 that you have? Now is a good time to ask me. Again, remember to use Super Chat if you have it in your country. I will see your question more clearly. You should speak 2 minutes. So practice speaking 2 minutes, Jamshid, at home, timed. And practice completing in 2 minutes. Don't just keep talking, okay? Don't keep talking and talking about everything and anything, because you can get a low score in part 2 if you just keep talking and you go off topic. So practice speaking for 2 minutes at home and make sure that in the 2 minutes you have a complete answer. So you have a start and a finish. You have an introduction, a conclusion, okay? Raya, if you have a difficult cue card and you have no clue, you will be in trouble. You need to use some strategies to try to figure out what the cue card is asking you. There are some steps that you can do to take that. Again, aehelp.com. There's lots of information there for you guys for that. I don't have enough time in today's lesson to get into that much detail, but you can decipher information. Mohammed, using I, me, and my is good to do in the speaking, and it's good to do in writing task 2. Do not do it in task 1 of the academic. How frequently can natural fillers be used? Manushi is asking. It's not regular fillers. It's I believe they're referred to only as natural fillers. I've never heard them as regular fillers. Manushi is asking, I think, about natural fillers, which are so they're basically vowels and consonants, syllables drawn out, which show a break for thinking. You can use them often, Manushi. You can use them every sentence. I use a lot of natural fillers to help me collect my thoughts. I'm sure you noticed that. As long as you're using natural fillers well, they are absolutely okay. Politicians use them, doctors use them, lawyers use them. You have to be able to um, use them effectively. Okay, I'll try to adjust the sound here. I can't see anything change on my end. Usually you should be able, Sanali, to answer any question that IELTS throws at you. Even if you don't have an idea about art, you should be able to answer it. Music is art. Plays are art. Movies are art. Food can be art. So try to be creative. Aircon, gestures using your hands. Hello, goodbye, thumbs up, bad job. Gestures are great, guys. Body language is great. Body language helps you to enunciate, speak more clearly. It helps the flow of information. It helps your organization of information in your mind. So definitely use gestures. Okay, keep an open body posture and use gestures in your speaking responses. Okay, very important. Thank you for the positive feedback, Alexander. Again, guys, remember aehelp.com. That's our website, so that's where you guys can go for lots more great material. And there's also 40 high definition lesson videos at aehelp.com. There's 40 full lesson videos for all parts of the IELTS on our website, so you can go there when you join the full course. All right, let's jump back to question number, or part number 3. And the questions there. Oh, sorry, before we go do that, let's listen to a student answer part 2 questions, okay? So here we go. It's the same student that you heard before.
For part 2, I will ask you about a specific topic. You will have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this topic. You will have 1 minute to prepare what you are going to say. You can make notes if you wish. Now we will begin. Here's a card with the questions.
Models, I've had a number of role models in my life. Perhaps my greatest role model was my father. My dad was an absolutely wonderful man who inspired me to become the person I am today. He was a very tall man and was bald from a very young age. His face was old and friendly. He worked in a factory for almost 50 years until he died last year. He had an honest job and I think he was always happy, but he wanted more for his children. His leadership, honesty, integrity, and honor are what made him a great role model. When I was 11 and our family was going through some tough times with money, my father found a wallet on the road full of cash. The wallet contained about 2 months of my dad's salary. He brought it home and immediately attempted to get in contact with the person who it belonged to. Keeping the wallet was never even a consideration for him. Years later, I asked him why. He told me that it was always wrong to take what does not belong to you, and just because our family could have benefited from the money, it was still wrong. Still, this strong morality is what I have learned. My father is still my inspiration, and that is what makes him my greatest role model.
Okay, stop. That is the end of part 2.
Okay, so that's an example response. In this case, the student also chose their father. Notice how in the response that this student gave, they gave a very nice long example of why their father is their role model. So their family had a difficult time. They found a wallet with money in it. And instead of keeping the money, the father returned the money to the owner because that was the right thing to do. So she gave a nice long example, and that's absolutely good. Okay, that's good to do. If you have a good historical example that eats up 30, 40 seconds of the response time, that's great. It's not too long, Erkan. It's not too long. So again, this would get a very nice high score. It's a heavy accent, but we can still understand what she's saying, so it still gets a good score. Okay, guys, let's go on to part 3. So part 3, usually the questions are following the topic of part 2. So here we continue with role models. And the first question here is, what attributes should a good role model have? Now, of course, here we get into a little bit more difficult vocabulary. The word attributes. Anybody know what the word attributes means? So what attributes should a good role model have? And what does it mean, attributes? Traits or characteristics, skills a little bit off, advantages a little bit off, aspects are a little bit off. Traits is the closest one. Characteristics is good. Or personality would be a good one here. Features is a little bit strange for a human. Usually objects have features. Humans don't have features. Qualities is a good one. Manushi, Erkan. Yeah. So what attributes should a good role model have? Anybody? Can anybody give me a nice, long, full sentence answer for this? What attributes should a good role model have? So a good role model should be characterized by honesty, sure. Okay, you can say honesty and leadership. All right. What's a good way to finish this answer? So if I want to keep my score going high, what's a good way to finish this answer? So a good role model should be characterized by honesty and leadership. And here I can add a little bit more to get a nice high mark. What should I add? And those are all some great examples. Perseverance, hardworking, those are great as well. Absolutely, guys. It's up to your choice. Those are all good choices. That's right, Rana. Give an example. So can someone give me an example of an honest leader? Can anybody give me a quick, easy, simple example of an honest leader? Yeah, Gandhi, okay. Yeah, so there is a nice long full answer. This is about how you want your answer to look for part 3 to get a good score. Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, those are all some good examples. Saint Teresa as well. So a good role model should be characterized by honesty and leadership. For example, Mahatma Gandhi was a role model to many because he was very honest and strong for the people and a strong leader for the people of India and the world. Okay, great. Let's look at the next question. Why are role models important? So why are role models important? Can anybody give me an answer for why are role models important? Hadil says role models are important for the sake of inspiring youth for brighter futures. That's a great answer. For inspiring the youth for a great future. Okay, so role models are important for inspiring the youth for a great future. That's an excellent answer. It's probably what 9 out of 10 people would say. And then we should add something here. They motivate people. Absolutely, that's a great way to express it as well, Camille. So they are a motivation for individuals and the public. Yep, and I need an example. That's right, Hadil. Yes, example, example, example. These are the 2 big points that I was sharing with you today, is make sure that you always answer the why question and that you always give examples. Can somebody give an example for role models inspiring the youth of the future? And you can make it up. It does not have to be real. If you can't think of a real one, then you can think of an imaginary or fake response. So can someone give me a quick, simple example for inspiring the youth? Okay, so Saran Raj says Steve Jobs. Yes, sure. Can somebody give me, yep. Iyaz, for example, or Prophet Muhammad is an inspiration for youth. Sure, yeah, you can give that as well. But you want to be Oprah Winfrey is an excellent example. Mark Zuckerberg inspires many. Sure, let's use that one today. So, in one case, Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know how to spell that, so I'll have to inspires many youth, including my younger brother Bob, to pursue computer programming and social network development in university. Okay, so yeah, in one case, Mark Zuckerberg inspires many youth, including my younger brother Bob, to pursue computer programming and social network development in university study. Sure, that's a great example. You could also say something like Messi was inspired by Maradona to become a famous, skillful soccer player, or I know for a fact that the very famous hockey player Crosby was inspired by the legend Wayne Gretzky, who is the most famous hockey player of all time. So a lot of the famous hockey players, football players of today, if you ask them who their role models were, they will often tell you that it's the most famous person in that sport. So those are all good examples. All right, let's take one more question from part 3. Have you been a role model to anyone? Have you been a role model to anyone? What is the grammar of that question? Have you been a role model to anyone? It is present perfect, guys. It is present perfect. I have been. And Erkan is giving us an answer. I have been a role model to my younger brother, which is good. Don't forget to say yes. This is a yes-no type question. So you should start with yes. Yes, I have been a role model to my younger brother, George. And what do we need here? So what should I give here? Some more explanation, and somebody said it there. Studying hard at school. I have always been very studious, and my brother is constantly encouraged by this. So he works very hard in school. Often he asks for my help with his homework, which I give gladly. Okay, so yes, I have been. Can I say yeah instead of yes? You can, Iman. It's a little bit less formal, of course, but you can. Yes, I have been a role model to my younger brother, George. I have always been very studious, and my brother is constantly encouraged by this. So he works very hard in school. Often he asks for my help with his homework, which I give gladly. All right. If you haven't been a role model to everyone, then you can answer something like this. It's a good question. I'll entertain that, Amit. So, no, to my knowledge, I have not yet been a role model to any other person. This is because I have not had any great achievements yet in my life, but I am working to change this. So there, obviously, you can't give an example because it's something you haven't done, but you do need to explain why studious means somebody who studies a lot, Gurpreet. So if you say no, then that's fine. You do need to explain it, though. It's usually better to give a yes answer if you can. All right, Prosafa says, yes, I have been a role model to my classmates, the students that follow in my steps in college and take some advice and observe my experiences. Careful, Prosafa, there's quite a few grammar mistakes in there. All right, so those are the answers for part 3. They're absolutely acceptable. Now let me play the audio for these questions so you can hear this student finish the speaking part of the IELTS here. Okay, here we go.
Okay, stop. That is the end of part 2. I will now ask you some specific questions related to the topic of part 2. We will now begin part 3. What attributes should a role model have?
That is an interesting question. Can you give me a moment?
Certainly.
I believe the qualities a role model should possess are honesty, integrity, and kindness. Young people learn from role models, and these are the most important attributes a role model should be teaching children because these traits help children become good people.
Why are role models important in a person's life?
Role models are important because they act as life teachers. Let me explain. For academics, we have school teachers. For sports, we have coaches. For life in general, we have role models. They are the instructors of important life skills such as honesty and integrity.
Have you been a role model to anyone in the past?
Yes, I have been a role model to my younger brother. He is 7 years younger than me, so I've experienced many events which he comes across, and I try to teach him these lessons.
What responsibilities does a role model have?
The main responsibility a role model has, in my opinion, is to live in a positive way which reflects their beliefs. For example, a role model who teaches honesty and kindness must be honest and kind in their everyday life. It is not enough for a role model to say things, he must do them as well.
Can having role models be a bad thing? Why or why not?
That is a very interesting question. I may need a second. Well, I suppose having role models could be a bad thing if those role models did not live as they taught. Additionally, a person who taught bad attributes such as dishonesty, cheating, or lying would be a bad role model. Having a person like this in anyone's life would be terrible. Having bad role models would be worse than having no role model. However, having a good role model is the best case.
Okay, that is the end of part 3, and that is the end of the IELTS test. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Natasha.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that is this student's responses to these part 3 questions. And again, this would score a very high score. Some of you are saying, is she reading? No, she's not reading here, but the answers are rehearsed just to give you the right idea of what you need to do. This is natural. So this is what natural speech would sound like for a student who has this level, okay? Again, these are rehearsed responses that she's giving, but they're rehearsed to give you an idea of what you need to do to get this band score. All right, so those are the sample responses to this set of speaking questions. Again, just a quick recap of the key points for today. Make sure that when you sit the IELTS exam and when you're getting ready for the speaking section, you should know about 1,500 to 2,000 words in order to be able to get a score of 6.5 or higher, okay? So the other 2 points, the other 2 key pieces of information when you're going to get your band score of 6.5 or more is, number 1, always answer the why question. So really, really focus on answering the why question. And number 2, give examples, okay? Give examples for your answers, for your reasoning, especially if you feel that your answers are complex and confusing, okay? Your examples have to be visible and quantitative. That means they should be from real life. They should be real events, all right? Grammar is very important. You need to pay close attention to the question. If the question is present perfect, your answer should be present perfect. If it's conditional, your answer should be conditional. If you say between sentences and words, these are natural fillers, that is okay. All right? If all of your answers are lies, DJ Sasa, but they're good grammar and clear, it doesn't matter, okay? Natural fillers are good, Manushi. All right, guys, so that's it for today's lesson. Again, these IELTS speaking skills examples materials are coming from aehelp.com. So for lots of help with the academic IELTS, visit us at aehelp.com. For general IELTS, please visit us at www.gieltshelp.com. When you join our full course there, you'll have 6 practice exams. You have full course. You have 40 HD videos. And you can use the coupon code LIVE20 for a 20% discount. So LIVE 20 for a 20% discount on these websites. When you join our websites, you will increase your score as long as you use the website at least a few hours each week. I promise you that you will increase your score. If you don't increase your score, please contact me. You're doing something wrong. So join the website aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. I had a lot of fun teaching all of you today. Good luck, Manushi, and good luck everybody else who's writing their IELTS exams this weekend. I know a lot of you are. Much love, much luck to everyone. And please, if you want to practice IELTS speaking, send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. Ask about speaking classes. So we offer Skype speaking interviews with professionals. So ask me about that. I hope you guys join. I hope you guys study hard. And again, I wish you the best of luck on your IELTS exam. Stay calm, stay confident. You will do great. Yes, the speaking classes are via Skype. So good luck. Good day, good night to those of you who are going to sleep. I know it's late in some countries, so have a good sleep, get a good rest, and I will see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we will do a reading, academic reading tomorrow, same time. Much love again, guys. Have a great night, have a great day. Bye for now.